Awesome pick, Jada, for pick number 8. Let's go to Reb Valentine for our second to last pick.
Well, I think I'm a little predictable, Logan, because when you were drafting the schedule, you wrote a game with a question mark next to it.
I did.
And I felt very seen and called out because that would have been my pick anyway. Animal Crossing New Horizons
Very
is
nice.
what belongs on this list. I think that you cannot make this list without Animal
Oh,
Crossing.
you totally could.
Okay.
Whoa!
Just trying to fight. Just trying to fight.
I'm here to
I
fight
was
with Reb.
very nice about Pikmin. I was so nice about Pikmin.
You haven't played
All
it
right.
though.
Pikmin stinks. Pikmin stinks.
Oh, Stickman more like. Yeah.
There are
No,
some
it's not
stink, there
true.
are
I
some
can't.
there are some stinky bugs that
Can't.
you have to collect. So yeah, it does stink
Mhm.
sometimes. There are
I
some
can't say
stink bugs.
Pikmin stinks. I don't believe it. My heart's not in it. Animal Crossing, meanwhile, is a great game. I think Animal Crossing New Horizons would have been a remarkable game, probably worthy of inclusion on this list, regardless of the time period in which it launched, which was very strange altogether. But Animal Crossing fans are waiting for an Animal Crossing game for a very long time. I believe something like a decade, right, between like New Leaf and New Horizons, something close to that. Might have been a
Yeah,
little
it
less
was
than
like
that.
7 years. It was a long time. And
It
they
was
skipped
pushing
the
a
Wii
decade.
U. Yeah.
We skipped the Wii U. They also they had like
Before
this
you
sort of
comment, I
update.
know Amiibo Festival existed. Amiibo Festival was
No,
terrible and does not count. Yeah,
I fell
anyways.
asleep playing Amiibo Festival. I fell
Yeah,
asleep playing because it was so boring. It was
it's
not a good
terrible.
game. Also,
Mhm.
it's not an Animal Crossing game. It just
No.
has Animal Crossing on it. Anyway, uh, people were really. I mean, I remember the memes like just day after day on like the Animal Crossing subreddit, waiting for a new Animal Crossing announcement, and then we finally got it. And it turned out to be very much, I think, the Animal Crossing of a lot of people's dreams, right? In so many different ways. I mean, just the sheer customizability of all the different rooms and the island and your neighbors' houses and being able to just decorate everything exactly the way that you wanted. The fact that it had actually something sort of resembling a campaign, right? Like Animal Crossing games traditionally don't have a whole lot of story going on apart from paying off your house. But in New Horizons, there was a it's a kitty cat. There was a little more of a story going on of like moving to this island and like slowly building it up and unlocking these buildings and inviting new people to the island and like growing it in this very meaningful way. There were more ways to play with other people. You could get a group of 8 friends together and bap each other with bug nets all day if you wanted. There were even more villagers and there were more ways to get them. There were more things to collect. It was more in so many ways, and it was also more in a lot of small ways that I think the Animal Crossing are like very unique to Animal Crossing fans, right? Like the one that I always remember and talk about is the trailer where they showed you, the player, could sit on the ground, which is such a tiny, silly thing, but the fact that you could just sit down, everybody was just obsessed with this. This was
Yeah.
so cool that
Mhm.
you could do this. The fact that you could terraform the island and like make ledges and just totally customize what the whole thing looked like. The fact that you could have these little hangouts with some of your villagers where you'd be like hanging out outside around a little barbecue, or you'd be they'd be running around outside with their arms sticking straight out, or like looking at
Mhm.
flowers under a magnifying glass, like just all these little detaily touches. They're the kind of things that Animal Crossing fans just obsess over and love. And so all of those things combined together to make what I think is probably the most definitive Animal Crossing game that we've ever had. And then on top of that, it released right as the COVID-19
Yeah.
pandemic kicked in.
Mhm.
And so you had this really incredible definitive Animal Crossing game that fans had been waiting for a long time. And then it also landed at the literal worst possible time for the world, but the perfect time for a game exactly like it, where everyone was stuck inside and wishing they were outside and wishing they could hang out with their friends and talk to other people and have community and build something. And people put in hundreds of hours. As Seth mentioned earlier, people bought Nintendo Switches for this game. People who might not have bought one otherwise, people who had never played an Animal Crossing before picked it up. It sold just piles and piles of copies. Memes all over the place. It was like a cultural moment, honestly. Gary Whitta hosted a talk show in Animal Crossing where he invited celebrity guests on, and people tuned into that and got really excited about it. He got really big names on there. It was a huge deal. So, gosh, it was wonderful. I do think some people burnt out on Animal Crossing a little bit because of the way in which New Horizons came out, and that's a shame. But I don't think that that takes away from what an incredible game this was to begin with and what a necessary game this was for a lot of people at the time that it came out. So, man, I love it. It's close to being one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know that it always is,
Ooh.
but depending on the
Mhm.
depending on the day that you ask me, I might say New Horizons, I might say Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, I might say Chrono Trigger, and I might say Undertale. It just sort of depends on what
Mm.
mood I'm in.
Nice. Mm.
Are you still
Yeah.
playing it?
No, but I did play it for a very long time. Like I think long after other people had stopped. And I do still every year on New Year's open it up, clean up my island, and I do the New Year's countdown in Animal Crossing
Aw.
instead of the ball drop. I put that up on the TV at the
That's
party.
way better.
It really it
I agree.
genuinely is.
Yeah. It is such a great Animal Crossing, and yeah, it's so intertwined right with the time that it came out and how we all experienced it. And I'm so curious to see what would this game's mark be if it had launched just in kind of a more normal time for everybody, and would it have left the same impact? I don't know the answer. I still think it would have sold very well and been one of the best games on the console, but just the space that it owns in my head of just playing games during that time of all of our lives is just huge. And yeah, it's so intertwined with it, and I am one of the people I think burned out on it a little bit. Like I sometimes, me and my fiance, who we shared an island together, we were living together during the pandemic, and it was like the first game she ever really got into was Animal Crossing New Horizons. She still talks about it all the time, and she would just steal my Switch and then fish for like 5 hours at night, and it was just the best. But we still hear that music, and it does just transport us back to that time of isolating, living inside during the pandemic. It's like, wow, that is not always some memories I want to open back up, like just that the
Mhm.
music is so intertwined with it. It's so nostalgic for just such a weird time in our lives. But at the time, I mean, what a godsend. Just an incredible video game, so much to do, and so fun to just plot out your island. I think I've shared this on the show before, but I built the back half of my island is this huge waterfalls and this stone walkway that leads up to a Survivor tribal council set from the reality show, and the place to leave your vote, and torches to snuff, and benches to sit on, and a huge bonfire in the middle. Because I love Survivor. I don't really get starstruck by people, but I think Jeff Probst is the one person that I would get starstruck by if I were to ever just meet him on the street. There's another weird fact about me, but yeah, just an incredible game. We talked about Animal Crossing recently, and I shared some of my criticisms of New Horizons that I think New Leaf did a couple things better, but the stuff that New Horizons added, I get why it's the definitive Animal Crossing for so many people.
Oh, for sure.
I was related to your music comment, Logan. We had our first good rainstorm the other day here in Kansas City, and I caught myself when it started raining in the kitchen humming like one of the rain music themes.
Nice.
Just
Nice.
thinking about it because
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it that makes me think. What is this?
Man.
Is this
Yeah,
Brian Altano and Simu Liu playing
Yeah.
Animal Crossing
is.
together?
Yeah.
I love this.
They're
What?
getting married. That's their,
Well, Brian's villager looks exactly like him.
yeah. That's,
Wow.
That
I
is
actually
perfect, yeah.
set up the Switch for my wife when she was recovering. And I was like, you should probably play Animal Crossing. And I had forgotten that one of the weird, like, Nintendo curveballs is that the island is the same no matter who. The
Mhm.
island is locked to the console, not to the
Yeah.
Mhm.
to the game or to the user. So I was like, why is the island called Erangel? Why does that sound familiar? And I was like, oh my God. This was also when I was like the deepest in my PUBG obsession, and that's the name of the island in PUBG. I was like, oh my God, it's so
Nice.
embarrassing. And then the flag on the town hall is like a Misfits fiend. And I was like, this isn't working out great for my wife. But that being said, my wife, who does not generally play a lot of games, and we've done some like pretty cool gaming stuff together. But the other day, she's like, "Oh, you took the Switch back. I was hoping to check on my island and see how my outfits looked." And I was like, "Oh,
Aw.
sorry about that." But yeah, bit of a bummer that you can't have a new island.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Again, Nintendo curveball. But one
Mhm.
thing that I was realizing just now is that, dear God in heaven, please actually be a mouse on the Switch, because placing stuff in Animal Crossing or like sometimes trying to dig a hole is such a
Oh,
pain
yeah.
in the neck.
Yes.
When you
Yeah.
want to hit, especially when you're trying to hit those rocks and get those ores out, and then you miss it. You're like, no, I've lost it.
And I
forever
actually
now, but-
think that's something really important to bring up about New Horizons is that in every mainline prior Animal Crossing, to decorate your house, you just had to drop the bed on the ground and then push push, rotate,
Yes.
and it was a pain.
Mhm.
But in then Happy Home Designer came out, where you kind of get this bird's eye view of your room, and you can put down furniture on this grid, you can hang things on the wall how you want them, and then New Horizons kind of carried that forward, and then even got kind of a pseudo sequel in its DLC to Happy Home Designer with Happy Home Paradise. So that's huge too, that it was now actually fun to decorate your house rather than pushing this huge dresser and trying to get it just right in the corner of your room, which was always kind of a pain point of this series.
Yeah.
Now, I know I was giving Reb crap for Animal Crossing at the start. I like Animal Crossing. I've played every Animal Crossing that's come out. I have a good time for it. But like Logan, I burnt out on it pretty early. And then, they had the one set of DLC, and then they were like, that's it, we're done.
Yeah.
And so, which was a big bummer. And it was one of those things where I wanted to go back to it, but I felt like I had done everything that I wanted to do in it. And new content would have been a reason to keep me coming back to it.
Yeah.
It definitely just deserves a spot in this list. I was just hoping for Reb to, speak from her heart and put Ring Fit Adventure on our list. I was really hoping she was going to do it.
There was talk.
There was talk
Let's
of it.
talk.
It's- I had the same thing where like I wanted to put Splatoon 3. I absolutely love and adore Splatoon 3, and that's another one that
Yeah.
deserves to be on top Nintendo lists. But this generation, I found myself just gravitating. I liked almost every minute of Splatoon that I played, but I loved every second of Pikmin 4 I played. And that's what kind of edged it out for me in my head. But Animal Crossing wise, it's such a good game. It's such a great, just a great little feather in Nintendo's hat for all of their franchises. It's unlike basically everything else that they put out. And I'm happy that
costs
we have
200
this
bells,
to go.
actually, the
Yes.
feather cap.
Yeah, feather cap.
That is the thing, right? Like Ring Fit Adventure. It is very weird not to have a Splatoon on this. I mean, I guess we don't know what Seth is going to put
You're
on
hurting
there
me.
yet.
You're
He
killing
could
me
put a
right now.
Splatoon.
Yeah.
What?
I wanted Splatoon so bad. I wanted to
I
pick
didn't-
it,
but I
but I
don't,
just
I don't
couldn't.
know what I would get rid of
I know.
to put that in. Like that,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
really good. There's a lot of really good Switch games, guys. The Switch was a
Yeah,
good
it's-
console.
Well, I mean, it's also been out forever, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction right now. This is Jada. You got my brain like the gears are spinning and turning when you're like, oh, they never gave us any DLC. Switch to Animal Crossing Deluxe, and they're gonna start giving us DLC if you have Nintendo Switch.
You think they're going to do the Mario Kart 8
they're gonna do a
Deluxe?
Mario Kart?
No,
Deluxe?
I think we'll get a
Because
new Animal Crossing.
look, and I as I'm saying this, I'm realizing like the singular genius of my vision here. All these people who went out and bought a Switch because of Animal Crossing are going to see the game that they love with new stuff on the Switch
No,
too. Let's
I think
buy
they'll do
one
a
of
new one.
those. You think there'll be a
I-
new one? You're
do.
probably right, but
Genuinely, I think what happened here, and this is a guess, this is purely a guess, I have no insider information here, but I've seen this theory floated, and I think it makes sense, is that they had New Horizons, and they had, potentially a couple years worth of content probably prepared for it, like small updates,
Mhm.
the seasonal things, and like furniture and things, and
Bunny
they probably
Day.
were going to, Bunny Day, Zipper T Bunny.
Bunny Day was
And they
the
were probably
worst.
going to culminate in Happy Home Paradise as sort of like a final thing. But the pandemic screwed everybody's working schedules up. I don't think there's any way they knew it would be popular. I mean, New Leaf sold very, very well, but I don't
Yes.
think
Yeah.
they were expecting the popularity that it got, which was even more tremendous. And then I think COVID, like what was the rumor that like some of Nintendo's employees were not able to work for like weeks, like even like a month or more because they didn't have laptops at home. Like what were you
Yeah.
supposed to do?
They weren't ready for
And
it
they
at
didn't have
all.
a protocol for that. And so I think they got really backed up and behind. And what it feels like they did is they just crammed everything that they could get done into the Happy Home Paradise update, dropped it. And then at that point, it's like, well, this is the team that works on Splatoon and we got to get Splatoon 3 out the door. So
Yeah,
let's
makes
move
sense.
on. And it's unfortunate that it came to that, but that's very much what I feel probably happened or something close to that.
I think you're totally right. Animal Crossing is not supposed to be a game you play 120 hours in 6
No.
weeks. It's not. It's supposed to be
No.
the game you play 120 hours in a year and you play 30
Yes.
minutes every day. And it just wasn't that. And I think you're probably right. They had these plans to bundle in the swimming update, which I think was a separate thing, and just
It was,
roll
yeah.
these
Oh,
things
yeah.
out slowly. But yeah, they just packaged it all together and kind of called it a day. But I think I'm with Reb. It's a new Animal Crossing on Switch too. And I will predict it's going to be the best one in the series. I think that
Oh yeah.
This is going to be a Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom situation. New Horizons, they add this building stuff. They add all these new things and tools to play with that people love, but lost a little bit of the soul, as we've talked about from something like New Leaf. Bring in that character, a little stronger writing, a bigger catalog of furniture and clothes. I think you have the best Animal Crossing ever. So I think the next one potentially could top this one and be something really special. Will people look at it the same? I don't know. Depends on the state of the world when it launches, but I think it'll be a really special game that could edge out New Horizons.